The rain poured heavily over the old Blackwood estate, as if the sky itself were mourning. Lara Blackwood parked the car on the gravel driveway and gazed at the imposing, weather-beaten facade of the house. Beside her, her brother Ethan sighed, a shadow of unease crossing his pale face.
Are you sure about this, Lara?
Ethan asked, his voice laden with uncertainty. Lara nodded, though she felt a chill run down her spine.
We have to do this, Ethan. We need to uncover what lies behind all of this.
The Blackwood estate had been the family's home for generations, each ancestor facing inexplicable tragedies and a deepening emotional darkness. With the recent mysterious death of their grandmother Evelyn, Lara knew it was time to confront the secrets haunting their family. Entering the house, Lara and Ethan were greeted by an oppressive silence, broken only by the distant sound of rain. The air was heavy, as if each breath was a struggle. Lara sensed a sinister presence, a feeling of not being alone. After unpacking, they began to explore the dusty rooms. In Evelyn's old bedroom, Lara found a wooden box hidden in the back of the wardrobe. Inside the box were Evelyn's diaries, filled with detailed accounts of her battle against the despair that seemed to consume the family. Lara began reading, feeling increasingly connected to her grandmother's words.
It's as if a shadow follows each of us.
Evelyn wrote in one entry.
Despair is deep, a dark inheritance we cannot escape.
That night, Lara was awakened by a scream. Rushing to Ethan's room, she found him trembling, his eyes wide with terror.
I saw something, Lara.
He said, his voice quivering.
A shadow, it was here.
Lara tried to calm her brother, but she too felt the sinister presence in the house. Nightmares began tormenting her, vivid dreams of past tragedies involving her relatives. Each night, the despair seemed to intensify, as if feeding on their emotions. Ethan began reporting disturbing visions during the day. He saw shadowy figures in the corners of rooms and heard unsettling whispers that seemed to come from the walls. Lara also experienced episodes of sleep paralysis, feeling an overwhelming pressure on her chest and a dark figure in the corner of the room. Determined to uncover the truth, Lara spent hours poring over Evelyn's diaries. The entries revealed a recurring pattern of despair and tragedy that seemed to repeat in each generation. Evelyn wrote about her own father, who succumbed to depression, and her brother, who mysteriously vanished.
They say it's a curse.
Evelyn wrote.
A shadow that haunts us, passing from one generation to the next. I've tried to fight it, but it seems impossible.
Lara found references to a traumatic event from many years ago involving a distant ancestor, Thomas Blackwood. According to Evelyn, Thomas made a dark pact to save his son's life. In exchange, he condemned his lineage to eternal despair. Feeling desperate, Lara decided to seek external help. She contacted Henry Thorne, a childhood friend who was now a renowned psychiatrist. Henry listened attentively as she described the diaries and the disturbing visions.
I've heard of cases where family traumas are passed down through generations.
Henry said.
But this seems different, more intense.
Henry suggested they visit a local antiquarian specializing in ancient items and stories. The antiquarian, Mr. Whitaker, was an eccentric man with a vast collection of artifacts and historical documents. When Lara and Henry mentioned the Blackwood name, Whitaker's face grew serious.
The Blackwoods. A family marked by despair. There are many stories about them.
Whitaker showed them an old manuscript that mentioned Thomas Blackwood and the dark pact he made. The manuscript detailed an ancient ritual that could break the curse, but required a significant emotional sacrifice. Back at the Blackwood estate, Lara and Ethan faced increasingly intense despair. Ethan began isolating himself, sinking into a deep depression. He wrote compulsively, trying to exorcise his internal demons through his words, but each page seemed to plunge him further into darkness. Lara also struggled with her own demons. She felt the crushing weight of despair in every moment, as if an invisible hand was trying to suffocate her. The visions and nightmares became more frequent, with the line between reality and illusion growing ever thinner. Determined to save her family, Lara decided to perform the ritual mentioned in Whitaker's manuscript. She knew it would require a significant emotional sacrifice, but she was willing to do anything to break the curse. Henry assisted Lara in preparing for the ritual, which involved creating a protective circle and reciting ancient words of power. However, as they prepared, the despair in the house seemed to intensify, as if it was fighting back against them. During the ritual, Lara experienced an intense vision. She saw Thomas Blackwood, her distant ancestor, and the moment he made the dark pact. He had not done it out of selfishness, but out of desperation, trying to save his son from certain death. The despair he felt at that moment became a curse, passed down through the generations. Lara realized that the true key to breaking the curse was not in the ritual, but in reconciling with the family's past traumas. She needed to confront the shadows of her ancestors, acknowledge their pain and fears, and find a way to forgive them and herself. With this new understanding, Lara and Ethan confronted the shadows of their ancestors. They explored the house, facing disturbing visions and memories. Each confrontation was a test of their courage and sanity, but also an opportunity to heal the emotional wounds that had accumulated over the years. Lara found an old portrait of Thomas Blackwood and felt a deep connection with him. She realized he was also a victim of despair, trapped in a cycle of pain he never intended to impose on his family. In a moment of clarity, Lara and Ethan gathered in Evelyn's old bedroom, where their journey had begun. They held the portrait of Thomas and together acknowledged his sacrifice and pain. They forgave Thomas and themselves, freeing themselves from the weight of despair. A sense of relief enveloped the house. The heavy, oppressive air seemed to lift, replaced by a lightness they hadn't felt in years. The Blackwood estate, once shrouded in darkness, now seemed illuminated by a new hope. Lara closed Evelyn's final diary, feeling a weight finally lifted from her shoulders. She and Ethan embraced, knowing they had broken the cycle of despair that haunted their family. But as they left the house, a shadow passed by the window, suggesting that despair might never be completely eradicated, merely dormant. The inheritance of despair now belonged to the past, but its echo still resonated, a somber reminder that human emotions can be as powerful and dangerous as any artifact. Lara and Ethan knew that the battle against inner demons never truly ends, but they were now armed with the strength of understanding and forgiveness. They left the estate, determined to live their lives with a new perspective, carrying with them the wisdom and resilience they had earned.